I sure hope I remember where all these parts go. Hey there YouTube, it's Farmer Clay here. Welcome you back to the channel. If you've been following along, we're working on the Oliver again. I'm going to try to get done what I've been talking about. I've done chasing some squirrels for a bit, so I'm gonna set you on up and we'll do a quiet montage and probably some speed shot stuff or whatever. I'll speed it up so you don't have to listen to me chat the whole time. So follow along. I should have 3 new gaskets or 2 new gaskets and an O-ring for it. So we're gonna scrape and clean a bunch of this here. So this goes for one shaft. This has this here has shims on it to control your bearing thrust for your backlash on that shaft. So I'm not going to take any of the shims off. There's just an O-ring in there that we'll have to try to see if we can get, but it looks like a square shoulder O-ring. So I'll have to reach out to Corvs and see if he has one. And then I don't have this gasket, but I have the material. I'll make me a gasket for here. So we'll get this all cleaned up. And then I have this gasket for up there. And it looks terrible in the lighting there. Let's do that. There we go. So see, clean through. So yeah, we're just gonna get it all cleaned up, polished up nice and pretty, get all the oil cleaned up. And then once the oil's out of the way and it's not leaking anymore, I'm gonna mate the 2 halves, put them on through. So I'm gonna check all these threads on this, make sure all those bolts are good. And then we're gonna use Loctite in them. They're anti-seize. I'm gonna drop anti-seize in all of them, just torque them down really good. So torque them to spec. Here's a plug here, but I don't think that plug's ever leaked. I think this is my main culprit here. And then something up on this box is leaking on down. So I'll have to make gaskets for this. I'll put this on the bench, get that all polished up clean. And then I got a seal here I'm gonna replace. And that's the main one that's the other one that was leaking on out here. So I'll replace that seal, get all this stuff cleaned up. And we'll get that seal out of there. And then I'll figure out, I might go through and see what we got for bearings in this guy, get them ordered. But at least I could put this together and kind of get it in a little bit safer position. So I am currently cleaning out a drain, an oil lube tray that goes for a bushing. And it's supposed to catch that stuff and then drop oil down on the shaft. But there's no hole inside that bushing. I might pull that off. Take a see what I have there. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. So this right here, there's a little tray right there with a hole in it. So that was full of some stuff on there, but there's a bushing down in there. And I don't feel a hole or a groove or nothing. And I would assume that is to catch oil and drain through onto that shaft and allow it to lube out. And then this here, you can see that, how that dog leg's there. Yeah, that's almost worn through. But my coupler's in really good shape, so I'm gonna go look at that other Oliver out back. I might end up having to pull a shaft out of that. I got a little play here. I don't know if this is shimmed or just free floating. It probably is okay like that. But I know that one is shimmed for preload. I'll get the book out and see what they're supposed to be at and where they're shimmed at, but yep, there went my pick. Alright, so we're rolling her together. My voice is gonna be a little off because I don't have my mic on. Got all this cleaned up. I got a new shaft coming, 2 new bearings. Since I have the shaft out, I'm just gonna do them. I think the bearings are okay, but I'm gonna do it with the new shaft, so. But I could get all that stuff removed with this put together. I'm just trying to get her back on her 4 wheels, and then I can get the chain and the overhead hoist out of my way and go from there. So I will set you down where you can maybe see and go from there. Brush a little anti-seize on those pins. Alright, so I got those started. Find my bolts. All sorts of parts in here, getting them cleaned up. Alright, so I got all the bolts cleaned up, and we're gonna grab some anti-seize. Alright, so I got the rear main pulled off. You can see this is the leftover cork gasket here. This is the new one I'm putting on. This is the new updated one-piece seal to go on there. Everything looks pretty good on that. I just got to get it cleaned up and scraped all that off. But I dropped the oil pan out too. That looks pretty good. There's a little moisture that was in there, and I think that's just from where that was open and I was washing, so no big deal. But one of the other reasons why I'm doing this is as I reach down, this is the oil pan gasket coming off in chunks everywhere, so That's one of the oil leaks I was trying to chase down and get rid of and take care of. So I'm gonna get the scraper out and get underneath there, get some safety glasses, and I'll start cleaning and polishing all that stuff up, and we'll get the new oil pan gasket put on there. I'll get the rear main put on first, and then I'll put some RTV down here in these corners. There's two in the front, right up here. I'll get RTV put underneath there, so that way it seals up any little grooves and not make sure nothing leaks out there. But I'm gonna get to cleaning and polishing on that. So, all right, so we're working on the engine here. I got all this cleaned up. All those holes are good to go. Just got to do a little polishing on this and on the bottom. The oil pan gasket, like I said, is all in chunks down there on the floor. That was just crumbled. But I got a bolt that got broke off here that I'm going to try the welding trick to see if I can't get that out. I got the oil pan cleaned up and polished, ready to go. So that surface is good. I use a wire or a wire brush, but it's a brass one. It's one of those cheapos you get from the old Harbor Freight. So I use that to polish it on up. So this is the old rear main seal here. And it's a multi-piece, but see that big chunk right there? Well, this is the bottom. And yeah, there's nothing left to it. So it was leaking pretty bad. So we're gonna get that all squared up and taken care of, get the new one put in. I'm gonna have to use longer bolts because these little guys aren't gonna go through the new housing. So I'll get some grade 8 stud I'll put in there and get them torqued in for putting that on. But yeah, I'm gonna see if I can't get that guy out of the way. All right, so there's 3 failed attempts. This one looks ugly, but it is coming out. Oh yeah, we are victorious. I put a blanket here. You can see this is why I put a blanket there. You see that slag? Could have ended up all over my crankshaft seal, and that would have been no bueno. So I'll get my little brush out and I'll polish that up, and we can get a bolt back in that hole. And I got 3 spares to put away. So yeah, that was a success. No touchy, that's hot. It's a hard lesson to learn touching that stuff. I sure hope I remember where all these parts go. Got all the bearings coming. This one was a wrong bearing. That goes to this guy. They sent me a size larger, but seal, bearing, bearing, seal, missing that one, seal, bearing, bearing. Get everything cleaned up. I'm going to throw this in my lathe and see if I can't polish that up right there. That's where it was seized up on this old needle bearing there. I got all the other parts cleaned up and polished. I'm doing new lock washers on everything. I kind of get in there. I got, shut this off. I got the bolts put in there, and I seized them. I was going to show that, but I ran out of battery on the camera. I think I had a setting too high on it, and so it was killing my battery really fast. But I got the 6 bolts put back in there, and I got new lock washers on them, and everything tightened up. All right, sorry, I was waving you all around, so I had to stop what I was doing. I got the 6 bolts anti-seize to put together for going into here. Those are all anti-seize. I put anti-seize on the 2 studs to kind of help hold it too. But what I encountered, and that shaft, see how wide it is there? I did a trick. Let's see if that works. Nope. But anyway, so yeah, see how wide it is right there? And then it tapers down to really skinny. That's because that's worn out. It's almost missing most of its teeth. Now my collar's okay, that slides on that. That's not worn out, but that shaft is. So I got that shaft. It goes from here to there. I got that ordered. We're going to replace it and the 2 bearings because, well, I'm swinging that stuff through, so let's just do the bearings. I think I should be able to kind of slide it all out without having to disassemble the whole moon. But I'll get that done. I'll get it in the manual, see that. But I'm going to find the torque specs on these guys. If it's in the manual, torque them on down. And then, like I said, I got brand new lock washers on those. So I was missing one, and the other ones were a bit worn. And so I'm just kind of want to make sure it has its best chance of staying together without having any issues. So, all right, I'm going to crawl underneath that engine, and I'm going to polish up the bottom side of the block with that brass brush, and then I'm going to clean it all down with some brake clean really good, and probably try to get the oil pan and the rear main put back on there. Uh-oh, we got a helper. Say hello.
Hello. Hi.
All right, so we're gonna get ready to button up for the night and go in and feed the munchkins because apparently they're hungry.
You too.
Oh yeah, I'm hungry too. Gotta feed the belly. Right, Boyle?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we got done here is got the rear main seal put on and bolted in. These are all brand new grade 8s. I had to put longer ones in because the other ones were just too short. And then I put a little dab of removable blue Loctite on there, and then I also torqued them down to 15 foot-pounds. And then these here are the original bolts, but they just have new lock washers on behind. And those are torqued down to 27 foot-pounds on there. And then I went ahead and got that cleaned up, the threads cleaned up, and sent that guy on in. So that's done there. We got to do the, still got to do the oil pan down underneath on it. I'll get that probably done tomorrow. And then I'll get the fuel pump set on it. So that's all buttoned up. Once I have all of the oil pan and all that stuff in there, I will fill it up with oil before I forget. And then I will continue on with the clutch. Now, one thing I saw on the clutch is the old style had a bushing, a brass bushing, and that was worn out. I got a new bushing for it. I showed that on an earlier video, but the new hub I ordered does not have the bushing in there. It looks like it seals a bearing. So I got to figure out what bearing I need and get that ordered incoming. Or if he has a bearing number I can source locally so I don't have to wait. But I will see about that for a bearing. But I thought the bushing went in there, but that's my new throw-out bearing. Where'd my brass bushing go? There's parts everywhere. Everywhere. It has to be down in here. Oh, it's right here. So this is the bushing that went into the old one right there. It was sitting in that, but I don't need it now, so I'll probably ship that back to him and he can sell it to another Oliver user. But yeah, this one here I think uses a bearing, which I'm okay with having a bearing up there. I think rather have a bearing than a bushing. But if I can tell me what it is locally, I'll probably just end up getting one local. So yeah, I got thermostat to do, a few other things. I got an O-ring. I gotta remember what my O-ring goes to. It goes to something important. But I will keep plugging away at it, trying to get it mobile out of the shop. I got the flywheel up here. Once again, I got to go through and check the holes, mounting holes, make sure they were all in good shape. And then I'm going to use all new hardware on that. These are all the bolts that came off of the oil pan. I got them all cleaned up and they're drying there. I will probably dab a little Loctite on all of them, and then all new grade 8 washers on those as well. So I'm just trying to make sure everything is good for holding together and nothing backs off or vibrates loose and causes an oil leak for me. So, well, thank you for following along. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. It doesn't do anything for me, but it allows you to see when I finally get around to releasing another video. I've been trying to do Monday mornings, but I've been slacking on some of those. So I'm trying to get one at least out once a week. So thanks for following along, and hope to see you soon.